Hi everybody, welcome to this product briefing. Excited to get in what's ahead for Luware Nimbus for 2025. You might have seen some of these in the past and recognize Martina and Markus, but just for introductions, Markus, if you want to go first.
So yeah, I'm Markus Weisbrod. I'm the Nimbus product manager for Luware Nimbus.
Awesome. And Martina?
Hello, it's Martina Willig. I'm head of pre-sales at Luware.
Awesome. So there's been a lot going on since we last spoke and a lot coming in 2025 and unsurprisingly AI conversation as well. So where do we start with kind of what's happening for Nimbus?
So from my perspective, I would start a little bit what's the added value from Luware Nimbus and afterwards start with a short overview about the roadmap, and then I will hand over to Martina with some more interesting scenarios and use cases she can present based on the roadmap.
Awesome.
Exactly, yeah. I've prepared two use cases. We want to look at how we can build it with Nimbus, like very shortly, and also the cost when it goes to integration with AI services.
Yeah, great to look at how that works. People are handling AI costs in different ways in contact centers, so it'd be good to understand that.
Let's go to the what's in for the customer. So from as you know, Luware Nimbus is a contact center and task routing agent engine based on Microsoft Teams and providing, from my perspective, various advantages to customers. So the one platform concept is a critical aspect for our customers because it ensures that whether they are operating with a small team or scaling up to a large contact center, they consistently have access to the same interface for employees and identical tools for administration. So users can serve as agents in a small team or be integrated into more enhanced contact center services through skills, for example. The interface for receiving calls or tasks remains the same, whether using Teams client or, for example, a browser window. Integration with Microsoft Teams ensures minimal training for the users, as employees can operate within a familiar environment. On the other side, as administration side, the administrator manages both small teams and contact center functionalities through a single admin portal, which is consistent across all scales. This unified interface allows the administrator to use the same workflows or other configurations for both smaller and larger services, providing a single tool to manage the entire contact center. Luware offers seamless integration with Microsoft Teams and adapts to various requirements. The close integration with the Microsoft ecosystem allows for secure information exchange via Power Automate, which has over 1,000 connectors to third-party systems. For instance, when a call is received, the phone number can be matched in a CRM, in an ERP system, or even in a database, displaying relevant information to the assigned agent. Additionally, Nimbus facilitates connection with Microsoft systems, ensuring employees have access to all necessary information and can easily input data in other systems. Even reporting is integrated with the Microsoft ecosystem using Power BI as a main reporting engine.
Yeah, it's awesome to see you leveraging kind of that full Microsoft Power. Martina and I did a session last year on the Power Automate and the extensibility and the flexibility you have there. And we use Power BI for a lot of our stuff too. And it's a incredibly powerful tool that you get to leverage to go really deep on reporting if you want to.
Yeah, and so as Luware Nimbus integrates seamlessly with Microsoft Teams and the broader Microsoft ecosystem, it's including the Azure and the Power Platform, and it's certified by Microsoft and meets their high security standards. And that's important for the customer as well to see, okay, it's trusted security based on the Microsoft security ecosystem.
Yeah, Nimbus provides also 99.99 availability.
4 nines.
Just to say this, it stands out.
Yeah, it's nice to hear ISV standing behind that their SLA number as well. Some are a little bit vague on that, so it's good to see that in a public stance.
Okay, so let's switch to the pillars for our new roadmap. So Martina, what's on the roadmap? So let's go one slide further. when we look at the roadmap for 2024, there are some pillars like, for example, we are focusing on AI, we are focusing on omnichannel, we are focusing on reporting, enterprise-grade reporting, and the last one is we are focusing on enterprise stuff. And what you can see now, it's a mixture of all of this. So when we look at custom roles, for example, it means we do not longer persist on we integrate some roles the user should have within the system. We start now that the customer can create flexible roles himself and add those roles to the user. Second part, virtual assistant and the virtual customer assistant. That are the AI topics we are focusing now on. So one thing, the virtual customer assistant is the automation part of AI, which means, okay, you can integrate with a co-pilot bot, and the co-pilot bot can answer the normal questions and things like that, or collect information already. So it's a pre-stage conversation perhaps with a customer, and the virtual assistant is supporting the agent at the end with, for example, summarization, with transcription, with keyword extraction, and feeding additional information to the agent as well in future.
Exactly. Might be confusing, but one is actually customer facing, the virtual customer assistant, and the other one, number 15, virtual assistant, is agent facing. So it helps the agent to do their tasks faster, quicker, with more data.
Yeah, that makes sense. So agent coaching and customer facing, and it's that customer facing one I'm really interested. I know, Martina, you're going to give us some examples, but it's interesting to see who in this space is doing just agent coaching versus customer facing, and also which customers are ready for customer facing AI, because that is a leap for a lot of customers.
Yeah. So next part is more about, okay, how to integrate with third-party systems. So we add a new possibility. So we have Power Automate, but there's still some legacy systems which are not supported by Power Automate. And so we will integrate the possibility in the workflows to add to use post-get request for those systems. So you can easily connect to systems who are not supporting Power Automate. So then we cover all the possible things customers could have in place.
Okay, so you're surfacing a public API that obviously secured everything else that someone so the customers, even more techie, or a partner has a particular use case, they can actually API integrate rather than going through Power Automate. That's interesting.
Okay, so Martina, it's you to click. Yep. Okay. One interesting thing, which is for our customers extremely interesting, is the outbound call this workflow. So that means that you can start an outbound call triggered by Power Automate, for example. And then when the customer accepts the call, you can start a workflow announcing, for example, hey, dear customer, that's your callback you requested. You can even add IVR things, components like that. So you can use every workflow element we already use in the inbound call. And so you can steer the whole call, and at the end you put it to the queue, and it's distributed to the agent again. Important for customers who are using other modalities is that we will start to parallelize those components. So to mean, okay, an agent can have more than one email, can work on more than one chat, because if the chat is not fluent, so it's not an ongoing activity, the customer might need time to answer the chat and coming back after 3-4 minutes. You can do other stuff in between. So you can work on several tasks in this one. And when it comes at the end for reporting, we will add a new feature, end of H1, that will be the customer journey, the whole customer journey. So you will have a page within the portal where the agent can go to. It's one example. So if he wants to know, okay, how did we interact with our customer in the last, for example, 30 days, he could search for a phone number, for UPN, for email address, and would get all interactions we had in the contact center with this customer. So he would exactly know, for example, the customer called us in the last 3 days 10 times, so it must be something urgent. And
is that cross modality? So that could be
cross modality.
Email, IM.
Yes, you would see all the interactions that he had with a contact center, And so you would exactly know who has been the last agent who spoke with the customer or handled the last email. And so,
yeah, that's
so
super powerful for an agent to be like, when they call in and say, I've already called in 17 times on this issue and emailed you and text you. It's like, well, have you? Did you? Who you spoke to before? Having that accessible is a big one.
Yeah, for example, the customer complains, hey, I tried to reach you 10 times, 20 times, and you would exactly see, yes, okay, we see yesterday you called in, we distributed you to the queue. In the queue, you listen to the music for 1 minute, and after 1 minute, you hang up. So it could have been a thing that you did not wait long enough, so an agent could not pick the call.
Yeah, exactly. It brings this customer-centric view into Nimbus. So in the past, we would have worked with the CRM where we would push data to, and agents would maybe look at the CRM and there is a customer journey review. But this part brings it all into Nimbus, which is very important for a lot of our customers too.
And with the last part, we are bringing, so we have a second tool which is installed on the client PC. It's a so-called Nimbus Assistant, which offers a lot of information already. And now we will bring the possibility to do transfers, so consultative transfers, blind transfers, as well as safe transfers to this tool, so you do not need to use either the attendant console, which is specialized, for example, for receptionists, but you don't need the native Teams controls anymore to forward calls to other people within your company, for example. And that's, I think, extremely helpful, because then it's completely integrated with Nimbus, and it's an easy to handle way to forward calls in the different modalities.
Yeah, exactly. In the beginning, we've built Nimbus Assistant to display more information to agents, right? Because we can't enhance the Teams toast. But then we went further. There are more buttons now, and we saw that customers are using more Nimbus Assistant than the Teams toast. Others would prefer the Teams toast, then others prefer Nimbus Assistant. So it makes sense to bring these transfer buttons to this widget as well.
Makes sense.
Okay, so that's only a small overview, because I think the use cases are more interesting at the end. And so, Martina, I would hand over to you with your integration and examples.
Yeah, thanks, Markus. Appreciate the visibility of what's coming there. That's really good. So yeah, Martina, now let's bring us into real world. What I know you're very close to a lot of the customers as well in your role. So what are people actually doing with Nimbus, and can you kind of show us some of the use cases?
Yeah, exactly. So I just wanted to show you this picture again. Maybe you've seen it already in another webinar, but I really like to show this because it brings our USB and everything together. The one platform approach, right? Nimbus seamlessly integrated into Microsoft Teams, and you see there are so many connections here that leverage all the different services in Azure. Some of these services provide AI capabilities, like cognitive services, AI models deployed in Azure, or also Copilot. Other ones are more data focused, or data processing tools. So when we look at AI use cases, then we have 3 personas, as maybe for all the other use cases in contact centers as well, which is the customer who wants the best service, then it disappears, the agent who wants the best workplace, and he wants to do it well, right? He wants to get good feedback from his customers and also from the management. And then on the management side, they want to do make the best decisions. So we can look at AI enhancements for these 3 different categories of personas. On the roadmap, we've seen that there is this customer AI integration, customer-facing integration, and there's the agent assistant. And these 2 native integrations will be then available for the customer and for the agent, but there is more to come on the management side and the operational efficiency. So when we look at different AI scenarios,
I like how you're breaking this down, as in like it's helping the customer directly, it's helping the contact center agent, helping management backend, and different customers, I guess, are looking at different scenarios. Our world just got a lot more fun because now the hotness in AI is agents, as in AI agents, and we've in the contact center world have got agents, so that's fun language. But we're talking here about helping the human contact center agent, aren't we?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, exactly. We are looking at this blue area, light blue area, in most cases. I like to cut these different personas, or what I can do with AI in these areas, cut it into understanding the data, understanding your customer or the agent, how the agent works, or even the contact center data, for the operational efficiency. When we look at the metrics that are generated from different interactions, so I have this understanding area, and then we have the assist area, where it's a little bit more concrete. And let's look at what we have here. So for the customer, on the understanding section, we want to understand the intent of the customer, transcribe and summarize the conversation, whether it's a voice conversation, audio, or it's text. And we can maybe forecast behavior or route the conversation to different departments or agents. And we can also really actively support the customer. We can automate a conversation with an AI bot, and which would actually help the customer better and faster, maybe, than a human agent. We can personalize interactions.
Tell me about your issue, that kind of thing, and it can pick out what you're trying to say. And then the AI agent saying, it sounds like you want support or shipping.
Yeah,
so kind of,
exactly.
Like a voice
IVR.
Yeah. Or maybe, but when it comes to automation of conversations, customers, they don't really want to talk to bots, or they don't want to know that there is a bot, but they want to get a result or an answer very quickly. So if you could do this with your bot, like really figure out the intent, what is the question here, what can I do, and then give an answer back like, I created the request already, or here's the ticket number. We will call you back in 2 days, or whatever it takes.
That's what's really exciting, isn't it?
Yeah.
If you think about it from a management point of view, if you said to a contact center manager or designer, like, they'd like to have 17 options on the IVR because they want to be like, is it a return? Is it a new sale? Is it this? The customer on the call wants exactly the opposite. They don't want to press any buttons. So potentially, as the AI gets good at this, you can start to route things very specifically. Like, this is a call for this type of agent. We anticipate they're going to be wanting a return. Get ready to talk to them. Here's their order number. Like, really setting up the agent for success.
Exactly. There are 3 things nobody wants to hear. Press 1 for, press 2 for, press 10 for, and so forth. Then, we are closed.
0, right? That's the secret code.
Yes. Second is, sorry, we are closed right now. Please call back when we are open. And the last one is listening to music for an hour. So these are the 3 things nobody wants. And I think you can really avoid these 3 scenarios with the customer assistant. So when it comes to the agent experience, then again, we have on the understanding side, transcription, summarization, and we could do some predictions then later on. Predict agent fatigue is something that comes up with our customers. And then on the side, on the other section, where it comes to assisting the agent, yeah, it's the live feed, displaying data, displaying actions with the virtual agent, and then virtual supervisor. This is kind of a creative idea where the agent can get advice from a supervisor who is virtual, actually, who could listen in and then get help instantly or drive the agent through the conversation. Personalized training, something else that could.
That's really interesting to me, because it's a virtual coach kind of thing. Is like you haven't yet mentioned the warranty options, you haven't yet mentioned this, or the customers mentioned this thing 3 times, remember to say this thing. That we've never had that potential scalability of coaching before. So if that, again, I'm going to say if on all of these because the proof is in the pudding, but if the AI can do a reasonable job of that, suddenly you can coach all 50 agents in parallel with a personal coach, which is just amazing.
Exactly. And when we look at these, we can do all of it already with integrations. We don't have everything natively, but we've seen it. It's on the roadmap. So this year, all of these different capabilities, we will have it natively. Then last but not least, the AI-driven operational efficiency. Yeah, of course, when it comes to understanding the data, it's to automate quality management, get conclusions out of it in terms of staffing and all these things, metrics. This is something we can do. We are leveraging Power BI, and there is a co-pilot sitting in there, which could already do the work for this in this area. And when it comes to assisting managers in their work, like optimize workforce, obviously this is then these are the tasks that come out from the analysis in the upper part here.
And would that be things like data analysis? So that is, we've got all the call records, we've got the transcripts, like we can unleash AI on like why was Tuesday so busy, what were the topics, or what's the key thing that keeps coming up in these conversations. Like, again, I'm super excited about that one, because that is so doable. That is real 1,000% today. Like, the AI does and even if it doesn't do a better job than a human, nobody, you tell me, but I very rarely see contact center managers that have the time to diligently think through that stuff. So it's really adding value.
Yeah, that's the point, or to detect it even so, because it takes time to filter it out and get to this information.
Yeah, and there's the last one. This is a very interesting point here: automate service configuration. So this is something we looked at. How can we facilitate the work of an admin to configure services in Nimbus? When we have the data here from the quality analysis, and I have the conclusions, maybe there's a service where the customer enabled all of the different modalities, but it's basically mostly used for email. Then this automate service configuration could actually just disable the other modalities and say, hey, for the 3 calls that come in this month, these are automatically routed to another service, and we leave this service only for email. So this is something very interesting when it comes to configuration. So on the next slide, I brought out a scenario for instant messaging, where we have plenty of AI capabilities built in. So when we look at it, what happens here? There's a chat coming into the workflow, right? The Nimbus workflow starts, accepts the conversation, And then we can now build in a bot or hand off the conversation to a bot. Today, this works via integrations, and we've seen this will work natively in Nimbus soon. For the integration case, we would connect over Power Automate to the AI instance, the Copilot, the bot, whatever it is. And this instance will then generate the answers. It can also analyze the intent and then address a message to the customer. It can also analyze the intent and see, hey, actually this customer wants to speak to a real agent, and then hand over to a human agent. But when doing this, also displaying summary of the ongoing conversation, maybe the urgency of the case, the sentiment, maybe other actions it could provide.
So providing
depending.
that to the agent, so the agent comes in with like his
Exactly.
3 or 4 bullets on where you need to jump off from. Like we've already tried this, we've already answered this kind of thing. Not because again, that's a super annoying thing of classic chatbots, right? Is you talk to the chat, or the automated chat, it gives up. You start with the agent there. It's like, hello, what's your problem? Like all over again.
Exactly, yeah. And sometimes the chat thread could be really long, so the agent doesn't have the time to read it through. So the summary and also the sentiment, urgency, these are really key factors to for a quick response. Yeah. Once disconnected, there's like follow-up tasks. We could imagine generating follow-up tasks after the conversations and also pushing them maybe into a channel, Teams channel, or pushing them into a CRM or wherever you need the information. So these two things here are also generated by the AI or the bot. And currently we can do this with an integration. And later this part is actually the virtual assistant for the agents. When we look at cost and actually the infrastructure that we've used here. So I mentioned this AI instance could be anything, as long as you can connect it through Power Automate. If it's an AI model that is deployed on Azure or Amazon Web Services, you need the endpoint, you need the secret, and there you go. You need to understand what comes back from the model. You need to understand the response protocol. But
how
the
would
easiest,
that work with a customer, Martina? Like, as in, like they've got a pre-committed Azure spend, they can spin up Azure OpenAI and cognitive services.
Yeah.
So they could do it on their tenant and bring that to the party. And would you guys or the partner help them bring those worlds together?
Absolutely. So there are some use cases on the knowledge base. There's one for the Copilot integration via the direct line, and also another one for Azure AI model integration, which both work well in this scenario. So whether the customer has a team in-house and they can do it themselves, or they might consider working with a partner.
I think from my perspective, and that's important for the customer, though the result can only be as good as the bot is at the end. So, and as good as the information the bot has at the end, because that's relies on the customer side.
Grounding it in your data and your answers, and it's interesting that you're giving the flexibility to the customer. Really likes how one of the Llama models is behaving, or they really like how Gemini is doing something, or OpenAI, or Microsoft's implementation of one of their Microsoft have a whole bunch in Azure Foundry, not just the OpenAI models. So it's nice to have that flexibility. But yeah, good call out, Marcus. It's like it's not just plug in and go? Is it there's some work there to do to ground it and check it has the right information?
Exactly. And there's another factor, really interesting. Costs. What does that all cost? Besides to build it, the integration, whether it's in-house or with a partner, might generate some costs. There's a cost for the infrastructure, which is not part of Nimbus. So on this side, it's the Copilot or the AI model. So we have built this scenario with Copilot. We deployed the Copilot in Copilot Studio. The license is 164 pounds. Okay, for the whole tenant. Currently, the user license, so it's a tenant-based license, and you can give it to X users. I don't know if that might change in the future. For now, it's a pretty good price. So you can add as many users to it as you want. And I have some numbers on the next slide here on the right part. For this price, you get 25,000 messages. What does that mean? So I've just looked at my use case. I have maybe 20 messages back and forth, and then 5 internal messages where I have to calculate the intent and the urgency and all these things. 25 messages. So you can cover 1,000 chats per month for this price.
Yes, you go a long way.
Yeah.
But you're talking cents per session potentially at those
Yes.
kind of multiples. So
Yeah.
again, if you can get this going and you can get power out of it, significant value for the customer. And you guys are not bringing, like, that's the customer paying the AI system direct. So there's no overhead on your side there.
Yeah, this is fully on the customer. Exactly. So you could build this use case or another one. You want to look at another one interesting use case. It's actually email messaging use case where I want to analyze what's going on with incoming emails. I can triage emails depending on the topic and then transfer these to the corresponding department, for instance. And then again, when it goes to an agent, it's handed over to an agent. I could then display a list of tasks, some email content, urgency sentiment, maybe also a reply draft. And at the end, I could even generate some follow-up tasks. So it's quite related to the other use case. This time, I've built this using an AI model on Azure with Azure Foundry. And when you look at pricing, sometimes you feel like, oh, pricing is based per token. It's cheap. It's like 1 cent per conversation or something like that. You calculate it. But these token-based prices are only for the Azure service. Okay, but you need to deploy the service, and there's some infrastructure that gets created in the background.
Oh,
and this
interesting. So
yeah,
there's an overhead there for you running up your instance
there's more
as well as
cost.
using the instance. That's a good insight.
Exactly, there's more cost. Not only the token cost for using these services. This is only the traffic.
Mm-hmm.
But then the infrastructure, so Azure AI Foundry will automatically create VMs. It will automatically create storage. And you need to pay for these services. And you really need to look deep into it. What do you really need? So when I created this case, and let's look at the next slide here on the right side. When I created it, I just used the standard deployment. Everything gets created, good. I take the endpoint, use it in my Power Automate flow. That's it. And then I saw, oh my God, I have 600 pounds cost for the last day. Why? I just tested 1 or 2 emails. And I would like to share with you my Azure AI Foundry screen.
Yeah, this is really interesting because this is where testing and knowing what you're getting into is really important, isn't it? Because there's some drastic differences here between the first scenario and the second one in terms of cost.
This is my email analytics project in Azure AI Foundry. I can learn about how to optimize my cost or view the resources. I have it open here. And yeah, it brings me to my tenant and the cost analysis with what we are familiar with. When you deploy your service with Azure AI Foundry, you can actually choose the service tier and the meter stuff and all these things here, and you really need to know what it means and what cost is behind. That's why I moved my cases now to Copilot, which works really well for what I want to do. Because I have a controlled cost. I only pay the license.
Yep.
And that's it.
Good. You mentioned giving like using the customer's end user license of Copilot. So how does that scenario work? Because there's lots of customers out there spending their $30. How are you leveraging that? Is that through Power Automate?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Exactly. You could just use the Copilot. So deploy a Copilot in Copilot Studio and then use the endpoint in your Power Automate flow. And there you go. You get the same results.
An agent in Copilot Studio. So that's interesting because you could, I guess with the recent announcements, you could potentially do that on pay as you go now as well, which is interesting.
Yeah, this is the integration use case that you can build right now. But as we have seen on the roadmap, Markus showed us that soon we can also embed these copilots directly in Nimbus. And so you don't even need to look at these things. But this is just to demonstrate that you can do it right now already. And when you want to do other things, then what Copilot can do. If you really need a dedicated model to do some really dedicated work, then be careful. You need to understand your model and the infrastructure behind to really get an idea about the costs.
Makes sense.
But I think in most use cases, Copilot is the right way to go. It is instinctive. It is easy to create, easily deployed. And I love the cost control.
Yeah, cost of control is
well.
the big one, isn't it? You can experiment with it safe in the knowledge that you're in a very safe space from a cost point of view.
Yeah, and I was to promote our new AI use case category on the knowledge base, where we want to really have different concrete scenarios, description, how to build it, and a little bit more information of how to bring AI into Luware Nimbus right now.
Nice to see that as a specific category. Again, it'd be interesting to see over the next 12 months how that grows and changes, and how many of them are agentic on Copilot Studio, how many of them are, people bringing third-party models. That it's going to be a really interesting year for AI innovation and contact center, I think.
There's a lot of preparation work on customer side as well, so they have to find and to define what use case they have and to prepare the
I
use
do
case
like I'm really excited about the customer facing stuff, but I do like the agent training and the operations benefits as a great starting point, because it's just relatively low risk. And I feel like the operations ones are really interesting because we're already pulling all the data, we're already transcribing, we've got the data, but we're just not really leveraging it. There's value to be had there. That's awesome. Thanks, Martina. It's really interesting to hear what customers are really doing and kind of the flexibility you have with Nimbus and Power Automate. I feel like we're going to be due another podcast where you and I go deep on what you've learned pulling these customer scenarios together.
With my pleasure. Yeah, we can do that. We should.
Awesome. Markus, thanks for the insight on the roadmap. This is all public now, so we're going to be getting together again in 6 months and having a look back at it, right?
That's okay.
Awesome. Thanks so much,
We will
both.
stick to it.
And I hope everybody's enjoyed the insights. If you want to find out more, there are links below to get in touch with the Luware team and talk about Nimbus. And if you're lucky enough, you might even get to Martina in her pre-sales role, and she can talk you through some of the AI use cases as well. Thanks a lot.
Thank you, Tom, for having us here.
Thank you.